Welcome to 2.5 Brains. This is our weekly reality wrap-up for Survivor and the Amazing Race. This is from fall of 2023, week 10. We're going to talk all about it. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. You can like our Facebook page, facebook.com/Pavement Road Productions. Email the show, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. Subscribe right there on the YouTube channel. Share the post and tell your friends. We're going to talk all about the latest episodes of Survivor and the Amazing Race. Week 10 here. We're going to break it all down. Obviously, I'm going to start with the Survivor episode and then bring in Jessica for the Amazing Race part of the show. So let's go ahead and get started here, obviously. We're now almost caught up to where we would like to be. So the plan for this week is to try to get get this show out here before the next episode airs. Obviously, we're still watching them in order and not watching ahead. But we're going to try to get this one out before the next show airs, and then be able to watch the next show and get that out within the week, and then be caught up in time for the finale and whatnot. So let's go and start with Survivor. Obviously, after the Kendra boot, we start with Julie, Mama J, talking about how she feels really bad about having to vote out people who called her mama. All right, so Kelly and Kendra especially, kind of lie to these people who, look up to her and everything like that, and finds it really difficult. So, and other people, namely Keturah and Emily, are like, well, who doesn't want to vote for Mama? We got to get rid of Mama next because Mama, is, everybody wants to give the money to Mama. Everybody likes her. And to which I say, that'd be a rare occurrence in Survivor. Maybe, the new era is going to be different, but, for as far back as, I can remember, you got Dawn, you got Sherry, you got even Julie from Edge of Extinction. You got, you can go back like Monica Culpepper. You can go back even further than that. You can go back to even, other people. Cass. The people who were the adults, the moms, the people who took on that role, Caroline Rivera, Mama C, did a really good job with this, but still, almost, you can go back so many seasons to the 0 vote finalists, even last season with Carolyn, right? You can go back and back and back as far as you want. And the 0 vote finalists so often is a older mom, the mom of the tribe, and they never get the win. It's because people get mad that their mom bested them, their mom lied to them. Their mom has more personal connection to them, and then when that person who has the close personal connection lies to them, the jury gets more upset. So I don't think that getting rid of Julie is going to help. I don't think she's destined to win, I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe it does. I don't know. Maybe this is a unique thing. Maybe this season's going to be different. But I don't see it that way. I don't see, Julie winning. Obviously, last few seasons, the winners have kind of come out of nowhere and haven't been very good, haven't done much in the game, but have just gotten the popular vote, win the popularity contest, being likable and surviving long enough to win. Has been all it's taken to win, so maybe that would happen to Julie. But again, I don't see that happening. But they're talking about it, and there's a few people talking about it. We start with a reward challenge. In this case, it's a challenge where you have to go through an obstacle course and then use a table maze, basically, where it's the classic challenge where you hold up a ball a ball that goes through a maze. And you have to hold it up, pull the two different handles on the string, and get the maze to rotate and rock back and forth so that the ball will go through the maze, then to the hole. And it came down to it at the end, actually, Austin versus Emily at the end. And looked like Emily had a good shot at it, and then kind of went into the final spot, and then came back out, and then in again and went back out. And it was close, but we couldn't quite get in there. And then Austin gets really close, and he drops it. And it falls through the last hole, and he basically has to start over again. And then at that point, Emily has enough room. she's able to, or enough time to be able to negotiate the last spot, and gets it and drops in the hole to win. Drops in the target hole to win the reward challenge. And she immediately starts crying and is super shocked that she won and is really excited about it. And they say, all right, it's the best reward of the season. You get your loved one letters, a big meal, and then an overnight stay at the sanctuary. Of course, they don't do anything else other than the sanctuary with just food at this point. They've cut the budget that much. Yes, that much. No cool helicopter trip over Fiji anymore. Nope, it's just sanctuary. That's it. So Emily wins, and she says that she wants to give the award to Julie because Julie talks about her family all the time. So Mama J gets brought along. Jeff says, who else do you want to take? And she's like, I'm going to bring Katura because Katura has been talking, or Katura needs a reward, hasn't had a reward in a while, blah, blah, blah. And Katura was actually surprised that Emily took her. And then Jeff goes, all right, one more. And everybody's like, kind of pleading or looking like, please take me, please take me. Emily goes, D, let's make it a girls' night. And so she invites D along. And so D, Emily, Katura, and Julie go on the reward. So it's girls at the reward, and they end up drinking wine and having a nice talk and hang out and get a good night's sleep. And the guys stay back at the camp. And of course, just because, of course, the editing of the guys at the camp are farting and talking about video games and action figures, and Drew's doing some modeling. It's just ridiculous in every possible way. And of course, Jake is there, and Drew and Jake are talking about what the plan is going forward a little bit, but not really a ton of strategy talk on that side, where the girls do a lot more talking about the strategy. The next morning, when the girls return, also earlier in the episode, Bruce tells Katura that he gave his idol to Kelly because he was afraid about safety without power, or afraid of the knowledge of power advantage. So he gave his idol to Kelly, and she got voted out with it. And Katura's like, really? Is that true? He goes, no, but did you believe me? And she goes, oh yeah, definitely. Which I don't know if she did or not. I really can't tell how good of reach she has or not. But she says, oh, yeah, I definitely believed you. And she says in the confessional, I didn't believe him for a second. And Bruce goes, I'm going to try that lie and see if I can get people to think I don't have the idol. And he goes and tells Jake the same thing. And Jake believes him. So when they're on the reward, Katura tells the girls that, hey, Bruce tried to lie about saying he doesn't have the idol. He definitely still has it. And then they return back, and Emily, I think it was Emily, pulls Jake aside and says, hey, Bruce is lying to you. He says he doesn't have an idol. He definitely still has it. And Jake's like, what? Why would he lie to me? And blah, blah, blah. And so he's a little bit upset about it. And then Emily says that your name came up as one of the options to vote out. And he's like, who brought up my name? Who brought my name? And he's like, was it Drew? And Emily was like, yeah, and didn't really confirm it, but Jake kind of knew it was Drew, and Emily kind of didn't go with and really give him a name, but kind of didn't tell him it wasn't Drew. So Jake's mad at Drew now because he said Drew's been handling me all day and being really nice, and he's just stringing me along to vote me out. So that was everything really that led up to the immunity challenge, which was next. So the immunity challenge, of course, was a little bit different challenge. Basically, they're laying on a slab that's tilted at like a 45-degree angle or whatever, and they have like handholds where they can hold onto these little knobs to hold themselves up, and then at intervals they have to move down the handholds until they get down the bottom handhold. And at that point, they have to put their legs completely straight, so all the pressure's on their shoulders, back, whatever. This challenge wasn't the showdown that others have had, but Emily dropped out pretty quickly, and then Katura was afraid of falling into the water. She was afraid she was going to drown, which was really kind of, whatever, pretty pathetic in my opinion. There's safety swimmers everywhere. Anybody can jump in and help her. Like, it's not a huge deal, but she starts freaking out for no reason. And then eventually just walks and climbs over to the side of the platform and jumps on the side of the platform side going into the water. It reminded me a little bit of the Sari Fields moment when Sari couldn't get over the one balance beam, and everybody clapped for her when she finally got over it. It's like Sari's one of the greatest players of all time. She's never going to challenge us. Screw you. And so then after when the challenge was over, they were like, Couture, do you want to try a swim? She's like, yeah, I'll try. It's like, you're not special. Doesn't make you good at the game, not being able to swim. Like, stupid. Awful. She has had one mission, all her special about getting rid of Bruce, and now she has this moment. It's just like, come on. Like, she's not really cut out for the game in any way. Later it comes down where I think next one was Julie, and then D, and then Drew's struggling to hang on. He falls, and before the challenge, Drew and Jake got into an argument about like who's trying to do what, and Jake said this conversation's over, blah blah blah. I'm not having this conversation anymore, and they started arguing back and forth. And they got kind of heated because Drew wants to get rid of Jake. Jake wants to get rid of Drew now, and Jake's sick of being the decoy boot or the backup vote, and Jake's like, you just have no, and Drew's like, you have no allies, so like I can't help you. We have nobody's looking out for you in the game and whatever. So they were kind of going at it a little bit, and so then Drew drops, and Jake's holding on, fighting. He eventually loses his balance. He lets go. He goes down, so it's just down to a showdown between Bruce again and Austin. And Austin seemed like he was in a pretty good spot, but then he started to slip a little bit. And Bruce starts to slip, then they recover, then they both recover, and they both slipped and recovered like 3 or 4 times. And ultimately it came down to Bruce versus Austin, and Bruce lets go, falls in the water. Austin wins the immunity and is safe from the vote, his first individual immunity. So then they go back to tribal council, and they go back to camp, and they're talking about what's the move. And Emily's like, hey, I really want to, says in her confessional, I really want to bamboozle Bruce so he doesn't play his idol, because I really want him to go. I really don't want anybody else to have to go. Meanwhile, they talk about, okay, well, Bruce is going to have an idol, so we got to try to flush his idol. But who's going to be the decoy boot? And they say maybe it'll be Julie, maybe it'll be Jake, kind of deciding back and forth. And Emily tells Bruce that, hey, look, I don't want you to play your idol. It's going to be Julie because she's too much of a threat. So we're all going to vote for Julie. We need, 4 people, because they're going to split the votes between you and, she said they're going to split the votes between Bruce, between you and Jake. So we just need enough Julie votes to, flip it. The 2 votes on Jake, 2 votes on Julie, or even whatever it is, 2 on Jake, 2 on Bruce, and then 4 on Julie, and Julie goes home. And Emily says, that's what the plan is. Let's make that happen. Bring in Bruce and everything else. And then Jake's like, well, so Jake goes talk to Bruce about it, and Jake's like, Bruce, why'd you lie to me about having an idol? I thought you basically lied to me. You said you had an idol. You said you lost your idol, but you still have it. So you lied to me. And Bruce was like, hey, man, I'm just playing the game, blah, blah, blah. Terrible answer. And why he lied to Jake as opposed to, like, Drew or somebody else doesn't make any sense. Jake's the only guy you're really kind of working with, so you're going to lie to him as opposed to lying to somebody else. Because Austin and Drew were really excited when they heard that Bruce lost his idol. And then Emily said, no, he was lying. He told Couture he was going to lie about it. So he's lying. But they still decide who to split the votes on, and Emily's kind of excited about splitting it on Julie, because everybody, everybody gives the money to Julie, which I disagree with. So the votes come down, and they're again trying to figure out what they're going to do. They go to tribal council, and Emily's like, this is going to be talk says in a confession right before tribal council, this should be a huge blindside. If I could get Bruce not to play his idol, and I can vote him out, that'd be really huge. And that'd be such a huge move to pull it over on Bruce. And they go talking, they were talking about the plan to get rid of Julie and how she didn't get everybody else on board. And they were talking about it and get Jake on board and everything else. And Bruce was like, yeah, it'd be crazy. Nobody would expect us to work together, after how we started. Obviously, Emily and Bruce were, from episode 1, weren't really seeing eye to eye or getting along. So Bruce was like, well, that'd be pretty crazy that, we pull this off together nobody would see it coming because nobody would see us working together. So they go to tribal council, and everybody's like, everybody knows Bruce has an idol. Bruce is like, yeah, I have an idol, but I may or may not play it, blah, 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 And so they're discussing that, and that's a big part of the conversation at tribal council. And then Jake's talking about how, like, I really wanted to do well in this game. I've been struggling. Everybody's kind of leaving me out. I'm kind of the pariah. And people have actually been talking to me this week, which is nice. But, I feel like, a lot of the struggles from my past and everything like that. And Kelly and Kendra on the jury are like, oh, I really like Jake. I really feel for him, blah, blah, blah. And then the votes come out. Right? And the votes come out. They only show Jake. They show Jake voting for Julie. And they show Julie vote, or they show Bruce voting for Julie. I think that's what they showed. Yeah, that's what they showed. Pretty sure. But anyways, so the plan comes down, and the votes come down. The first votes for Jake, and I was like, okay. Second votes for Jake, and Kelly and Kendra started like getting upset a little bit, and visibly upset that it looks like it's gonna be Jake, because obviously they were originally on the tribe with Jake. And then the next vote comes down, Jake, and they're like, no. And Kelly's like, hold on. We don't have anything. Hold on. Wait. And the next vote comes down, and it's Julie. And we're like, oh. And of course, before the votes go down, they say, everyone wants to play another, now's your chance. And Bruce holds on to it, because he doesn't need it, because they're going to flip it on Julie. So it's 3 votes on Jake, 1 vote on Julie. Next vote is on Bruce. Okay, so 3-1-1. Next vote's Bruce. 3-2-1. Next vote's Bruce. 3 votes for Bruce, 3 votes for Jake, 1 vote for Julie, 1 vote left. Final vote is for Bruce. He gets voted out with the idol in his pocket, 4-3-1, and they split the vote, and he was the only one not in on the vote. Jake was the backup vote, and then Bruce was the target. Anyways, so they didn't even throw too many votes on Julie. Just Bruce's vote was on Julie, and it helped too with if Bruce would have just thrown his vote on Jake. Obviously it's a tie. He probably voted on the revote, but at least it's a tie. So Bruce did so many things wrong this episode. He said what he said. He said what he said to. He said what he said to Jake, which kind of annoyed Jake, and I think kind of got Jake on board to vote out Bruce, because Jake was one of the votes for Bruce. But and obviously the split on Jake and Bruce. I think Jake's next, honestly, but. Bad move by Bruce to lie to Jake and have to, get caught in the lie and then really not have a good reason why he lied to Jake. That didn't help. And then not playing his idol because he thought Emily was going to work with him, and he thought Emily said she knows how to talk to guys like Bruce. You should have stroked his ego. And Bruce is, he was in the Navy and that. He's, a good guy, but he definitely has an ego. There's no doubt about it. He definitely has, does things a certain way, and that's the way he wants them done. And so she was able to talk to him like, hey, let's work together. You're playing a really good game. This is a movie, and she just definitely played into his ego, and he didn't, he thought he was going to trust her. So not playing his idol was huge. He went out with it in his pocket, and then he got duped by Emily because she, got him to vote for Julie, and said it was going to be a 4-3 vote. Now, here's the thing. Even if you think you can trust Emily, you still might as well play the idol, right? Even if you think Emily's going to pull up a 4-3-1 vote or 4-2-2 vote, you might as well still play it just in case. Anything happens, somebody votes the wrong way, now it's 3-2 on you and somebody else, or 3-3 and 2 or something goes wrong. And you said the whole episode, the whole season, you haven't trusted Emily. So now all of a sudden you trust her because she's telling you what you want to hear and telling you you're a good player. And it was just a bad move by Bruce. Really dumb move. Went out the idol's pocket again. And Kelly was saying too, or I think it was Emily was saying, Bruce is not trying to do anything fun with the idol. He's just trying to save himself for one more vote, which, again, gets you through one more vote, but doesn't help you win the game. It just helps you get further in the game. And so, she would have liked him to do something more flashy with the idol and make a big move with the idol and flip the number, especially if it's 4-4. And that's, in theory, it's, the 4 original Reba and then Jake, Katura, Bruce, and Emily, they could play the idol and get rid of one of the Reba 4, and then go from there, right? Get rid of one of the original Reba 4, get rid of a Julie or a D, and then you split up, and then really at that point, if you want to still work with Austin and Drew, they kind of had no choice but to work with you because they lost one of the best allies, right? So, and then also I would get rid of, if I'm Emily, I'd do that and get rid of Julie, because that way Drew can work with Emily, Austin can work with D, and then they'll want each other. They'll want to keep the other one just as a shield. D is definitely close with Austin, and Drew's close with Austin, but Drew could be, Austin could, go with D, or D could go with Austin and leave Drew out in the cold. So Drew would want to have Emily as that backup. So you basically take Julie's spot on that alliance. So that's kind of what Emily wants. Bruce doesn't want to do that. He wants to just save himself for one more vote and not make any meaningful difference in the game with his idol. So he was going to save himself for one more vote. Jake was going to go, and then they'd vote Bruce the next night to win immunity. Not a good strategy, not a good way to win the game. Getting all the way to the end, that kind of thing. So the best thing Bruce could have done was do that, shake things up, make a big move with his idol, and get the numbers on your side. Instead, he went out with the idol in his pocket and made several key errors in judgment. Not least of which was trusting Emily, who obviously was out strategizing him. If you can get the joke, if she was definitely out scheming him for sure, and played the vote really, really well. And now, like I said, her next move now is to get rid of Julie as soon as possible and take Julie's spot in that alliance, and that way she got guaranteed a spot in the Final Four. Because with the numbers being what they are, I think they'll probably get rid of Jake next, and then they'll figure it out from there. But I think I think that's the move. I think that's Emily's next move. I would have even and they may not be able to now because it could be because all the alliances on Reba, all the idols with Reba. Julie's got Austin's extra idol. Austin's got an idol. Drew's got Saves Without Power, and everything like that. So they can all the Reba people also have all the idols. So you got to kind of blindside them, whatever. But that, I think, that would have been the better move to make at that point, and it didn't happen. Bruce didn't make a good choice, and he went out the game without idol's pocket. So the path ahead, like I said, is interesting. There's definitely ways to go for a few people, but now that Reba has the original 4 Rebas have a 4-3 advantage over everybody else. There's only 7 left. They can really do whatever they want, and it would have been better, instead of getting rid of Bruce, to get Bruce to play his idol and knock out a member of the original Reba, namely Julie. Especially if we can flush the idol that she has as well, that'd have been even better. But now it's going to be tough. And I don't know who knows what idols, whatever, I don't know. But Bruce's idol's out of the game, which is great. He's been a big focus. He's been public enemy number 1 for everybody. Everybody's celebrating when he went out of the game. They're cheering and being really excited that they got him. And he said, "Hey, thanks for sharing the journey with me, my return to Survivor," which wasn't really a return, but and they all clapped for him. Then as soon as he was gone, they were all celebrating he was gone. So it was definitely they're happy to get rid of him, but I think too many people are focused on Bruce. Obviously, he's winning challenges and that, but he's not going to win. He's winning challenges. He's got an idol, but he's not going to win. People are annoyed with him, no doubt. But the better move would have been to get rid of something like a Julie or a D or even a Drew, or obviously can't get rid of Austin, but get rid of one of them and move into the final 7 with only 3 members of Reba. So now Reba can do whatever they want. I expect Jake to go next, then Kintera, and then Emily, and then we're the final 4 Rebas, unless they turn on each other before then. They said they're gonna have to turn on each other sooner rather than later. So maybe they use Emily's vote to do that, maybe whatever, but. Maybe that's what Emily's banking on, but again, then now she's not. This move to take out Bruce was her move, but that's really going to be her only real move in the game. Obviously, she can duck and dive and maybe sneak her way to the end and have the votes at the end, but I don't know. the best move would have been to use Bruce's idol this week to take out one of the Reba members. Because now unless Reba turns on itself, those 4 go in the end. So we'll see what happens here. But that's it for now. Let's go ahead and talk about the. So it was an episode that again had so much potential. I'll end with this. The Survivor episode had so much potential once again, and again just kind of didn't really go anywhere. Could have been huge. Could have had a lot of stuff happen. And at this point, once again, it's a pretty straightforward march to the end for some of the players who've been kind of in control the whole game are still in control, and it doesn't look like anybody's gonna stop them. So, great opportunity to do something. Great opportunity to do something with everybody focused still on Bruce instead, though, and that was the thing. It was a great opportunity to make a move, and everybody's too focused on Bruce. Emily's banking on the fact that Drew and Austin are gonna keep her over Dee and Julie, and that is a good possibility. I'd probably rather go to the end with Emily than Dee, especially because Dee's been playing a good game. But if I'm Emily, I can't leave that up to chance. All right, I can't leave that up to, well, hopefully they take me, because that's not, you're not going to have control of your own destiny at that point. She should make a move to get rid of Julie as soon as possible, and then force their hand to take her to the end. But either way, and that way she gets on her own, volition. But again, another episode with a really big thing that happened. It was a blindside, sure, but it was a blindside. The player didn't really have a finger on the pulse at all the whole game. So it wasn't that much of a blindside. I mean, obviously he went out with an idol in his pocket, but he wasn't playing a good enough game anyways, and he wasn't going to win anyways. So we'll see what happens next week. Down to 7 and a couple more episodes here. I think there's only 2 episodes on the finale, so we will see what happens. But I look forward to seeing how this is going to wrap up. And now let's go ahead and talk about the Amazing Race. And to do so, we'll go ahead and bring in Jessica. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Great. Thanks so much for asking.
Oh, you're welcome.
So let's talk about the Amazing Race, shall we?
Oh, yeah, we should.
All right. So what we're going to do, we're talking about the quick recap of the episode, the detour decision, the roadblock, all that. Talk about who did not survive and what they did wrong. And then we'll do a quick Final 4 power ranking. The Final 4 teams left. There's only 4 after this episode.
Aww.
Yeah. Don't worry. In about 3 months, there'll be another season. Okay. So, let's go ahead and talk about what happened in this episode, Jessica. Take it away. Things.
Yeah. Many things. So, they travel from Slovenia to Stockholm, Sweden. It doesn't matter that the order that they went in because they all were on the same flight anyways. From there, they had to go find their next destination, and basically they found out at the airport that it was a skydiving place. Mm-hmm. So when the teams got off the flight, they had to try and race there and get a ticket to see who was going to go first.
Yeah, what the order was, yep.
Yeah, well, Greg and John ran right past it,
yep, as
did many of them. Joel and Garrett got the number 1 spot, then Steve and Annalee, because everybody else kept running past it, which is very annoying.
And they said it was right at the front of the gate, and they ran past it.
Yes.
And we looked all around the barns, all the stuff, we couldn't find it. And then once they ran past it, Corey and Rob ran past it, and then so did Todd and Ashley.
Yep.
And then Garrett and Joel were standing there like, I'd love to help you.
They saw it right away, and then Steve and Annalee saw it as well, and then, they wouldn't help them. Yep. And then it was Greg and John, Todd and Ashley, and Rob and Corey last.
Yes.
That determined their order of jumping out of the plane.
Yes.
That everybody seemed to be fine with except for Ashley.
Who was freaking out. Yeah.
Yes, which is understandable.
Certainly.
So after they skydive, they got to their clue for a roadblock and who wants to party. They had to build a flower wreath that attached to a maypole, and then they had to dance.
Dance. Like a little bunny and what do they do?
There wasn't really much direction. They didn't watch people make it. They just had the example and, kind of see how it was all intertwined. It seemed at first that there wasn't really anything specific, but it looked like one of the flowers had to have so many on there for them to pass it.
So many flowers, yeah.
Yeah, the wreath that they were building had to have so many of a flower on it. Correct. Yeah, that it wasn't clear at first because Anna Lee got through it right away, and no one else did. They had to look at it again.
Yeah, for sure.
So that point, though, Rob and Corey, since they were got there last, they decided as soon as they got there, they would use their express pass, which at the time I thought that was a good idea. It still probably was a good idea based on where they were and how much time it was taking people to do that.
And they ended up leaving first because of that.
Yeah, they left first because of that.
Yep.
But Annalie and Steve were very close behind and ended up catching up to them.
At the next stop, which was
to go to the subway to get to their next clue.
Right. Which was...
The next clue was the detour.
Well, they actually had to do the flautist first, or the violinist.
Well, yeah, Rob and Corey got there first and had to go inside of the building to find the violinist. But they went in the right door, thought it was the wrong door because didn't look around hard enough to see that there was another door inside. They left to walk around the building. Steve and Annalie went in, got their clue, came out, and it actually ended up helping them find it.
Yeah.
And then by the time Rob and Corey got out, Steve and Annalie were going on a bus because the bus driver said, yes, this is the subway that they needed to be on. And Rob and Corey actually saved them from going the wrong way. Basically, they started working together. If I was Rob and Corey, I would have just let them get on the bus and go the wrong way.
Yeah, because a subway is not a bus.
A subway is not a bus, no matter what country you're in.
Right.
So working together, they get to the roadblock first. The clue for
Detour.
the roadblock first. Detour.
Mm.
Yes, I don't know why. Detour.
Yes.
Said it before, and then I had to redo what I was saying. The detour, which was sort or serve.
Yeah.
Serve was to serve food at a restaurant for 4 people at a table, and it was historical 4 people that won a Nobel Prize.
Yep.
And all the food was in French, and then it was assigned to different people, so you had to memorize it, and one person got the food, one person got to read the clues to them and had to go serve it. Or sort, which basically they were sorting through all different, trash and things to recycle, and were throwing it where it needed to go. It was all in Swedish, so it still didn't seem that hard. Some of it seemed pretty close to the English word.
Yeah.
But sorting through all of their stuff until it was all gone, and then they were able to move on.
Yeah, it was definitely a more straightforward one, but more, labor intensive.
Mm-hmm.
Where the other one, Greg and John, of course, both speak French, and one speaks better than the other.
Yeah.
They're able to, kind of shorten that.
It.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Perfect. So then after the detour, and which one would you have done?
Probably the sort.
Yeah, me too.
Serve would have been too confusing unless you could only take a couple plates at a time and go serve them, which you probably could. I don't know if you had to do it all at once. Like, they weren't very specific on that.
Yeah.
If I could do 2 plates and then go take it to the people and then do the other 2 plates, I don't know.
Yeah, not sure.
But sort seemed easier.
Yeah, I feel like the waiter wouldn't have told you if you were right until you had all 4 on the plate, on the table.
Well, maybe, and that's fine, but I wouldn't want to carry all 4 dishes at the same time.
Oh, yeah, that's all.
I would have dropped them.
Especially because they didn't have a tray, just doing it,
Well, yeah, and I would have been easier to keep them in order if I know
that's
this
true.
is one hand, this is the other hand,
True.
and what seat it goes to.
Good point. What is next?
So next is...
Did they hit Subway again, or did they already do that one?
That's after the
Yes.
the detour. So after that, they have to take Subway to get to their... I guess it would be the next clue to the pit stop, or I think it's right to the pit stop, actually. So...
I think there was a second. I think there may have been another clue, but either way, it eventually leads them to the pit stop.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Oh yeah, they have to travel by taxi to a marina after the detour, and find a clue box by a boat.
Yes.
That's right. They had to go to the boat.
That's what I thought
So from there, that area, they had to find a subway. Well, no one got good directions, and they ran all the way around somewhere, I don't even know, all into a different subway that was closed, and had to go back to the beginning. So everybody's able to catch up to each other. Basically, Greg, John, Corey, Rob, Corey, and Steve and Annalie were all running together to try and figure this stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
Garrett and Joel, however, found it right away, and they got better directions from someone that worked at the boatyard and got to the pit stop first.
Yeah, they were shocked. They thought they would be second or third, maybe, But everybody ahead and around them got lost.
Well, they knew they weren't going to be last because Todd and Ashley were so far behind.
Yes.
So that was it.
There's
because the wreath held them up.
They probably were fourth, honestly, before everybody else got lost, but they were at least no better than.
Well,
second.
yeah, they were. That's why they knew they weren't at least last because Todd and Ashley were so far behind at that point.
Yeah. And they ended up getting there first and won the leg.
Yes, they did. They got to go to the Galapagos.
Exactly, to go to Galapagos. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
What's next? What happened next?
So many things.
Yeah.
So it was basically a foot race between Greg and John, Robin, Corey, and Steve and Annalee. They managed to get to the subway, but in that same time, Todd and Ashley caught up. We can only assume, since it didn't exactly show it, that they missed that subway that the three teams got on. Had to wait for the next one, which I think was like a 15-minute delay after or something like that. Yeah. So from there, everybody had to run. Mm-hmm. And of course, in this case is the only time I will say that Greg and John being in shape helped them.
Yeah. It does once in a while, and did in this case.
Yeah. No exhaustion, I guess. Because of Steve's exhaustion, Rob and Corey managed to get third, and Steve and Annalee were fourth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. And who was last?
Todd and Ashley.
Yep. And what did they do wrong? Obviously, they were eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
And
what'd they do wrong? I was gonna make a joke, but
what's that?
Well, he probably cheated or something because they're talking about it. But
yeah.
We're not going back that far. I guess what they do wrong on the show.
Yes, and mostly this leg, or because this leg is when they did wrong.
Well, the last episode too, they struggled.
But they all caught up at the same spot. So
yeah, this leg, I guess attention to detail. I mean, it took her longer to do the wreath, but like I said, there was no clear direction, and she was really taking her time. So I guess that was part of it too. She could have tried to do it a little faster and get it checked sooner or something. I'm not really sure. I mean, they did sort, I believe, too. Everybody did except for Greg and John.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, I mean, directions in other episodes were a big, hindrance too. But
yeah, I really feel like, honestly, they were solid. Mm-hmm. But I feel like they were the fifth best team left.
Yeah.
At that spot.
Yeah.
And if there was 6-7 teams left, they would still probably the fifth best team left. My hesitation or maybe happiness was that I definitely saw them being the third place finisher.
Yeah.
And finishing several. It says last episode they'll finish several hours after everybody else finishes the race. They'll get to the finish line, and they'll be the third place team that was never in it from the beginning of the finale.
Yeah.
And thankfully, it's not going to happen.
Right.
Because they're out now. They just weren't. I don't think they were a strong enough team. They communicated well for the most part, but they had bad sense of direction, and there was certainly that he was good at certain things that she was good at, but they really couldn't utilize their skills that well.
Yeah.
And I think that was a big part of their mistake. Attention to detail was certainly an issue. She would have better attention to detail. Mm-hmm. He'd be stronger. So if someone was physically demanding, he could do it pretty decently. But if someone was attention to detail, she would have to rein him in.
He pulled a Todd, right? He missed the exit and everything.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
That is a big part of it.
For sure. So, and again, they were the fifth strongest team, and they just they weren't able to compete with those other teams who were just simply better. And
I wouldn't say one team was better than them per se, but
I think all four are better than them.
Really?
I think they're the fifth best team.
Yeah. I don't know. I am partially agree with that. I think one maybe would have been not as much, I guess, due to age.
Yeah, sure. I just think that they, they definitely struggle with attention to detail because Todd is he's very like let's go, and Ashley's kind of one who has to be like let's pay attention, and then also too she was getting pretty negative, so that also didn't help, and so she was being negative, and she has to keep him on track because he'll just go really fast in the wrong direction.
Yeah,
as we've noticed. So when she's not on her game to keep him reined in, he'll go he'll take them off track, and I think that's a big part of it. They didn't communicate well near the end, and that is a big part of why they didn't get there.
Just mean he didn't want to stop and ask for directions.
Sure. And she didn't want to navigate.
Does that sound like something a guy would do?
No. Not even a little bit. Obviously.
Especially even in the Amazing Race when you're in a different country.
Yes.
I don't need to ask for directions. I know exactly where I'm going.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I said, and he wasn't very good with directions. He would get lost a lot. And then he said near the end, I think she was just worn out and was just annoyed and
Just done. Yeah.
So, and that's why they couldn't overcome the mistakes. For sure. And that's why they're eliminated. So 4 teams left. 2 episodes. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
Who do you think is the 4th best team left of the final 4? I could go either way.
Okay. I'm starting to think Steve and Annalie.
Interesting. Why Steve and Annalie?
Because he's going to hold her back, even though she has energy and everything and keeps trying to encourage him. He is definitely one that is, slower, and she has to keep telling him to speed up, and he's just running out of energy at this point.
Yeah, could be. Definitely could be. Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, obviously, Greg and John had a 4 leg winning streak and got snapped this time. But
It was a fluke, though.
It was. And I think I'm really torn between, I could see it being Steve and Annalie or Garrett and Joel.
And the only reason I don't say Garrett and Joel because they have the perseverance to push forward even though they're tired.
They really the military.
They don't slow down much or anything like that. They just keep going.
I was gonna say there was one thing I was gonna say reason why I would put them over, and I'm so torn. I can't really make a good argument either way for which one.
Yeah.
I'll go with that. What you said, and the reason I will is because they communicate better.
Yeah.
Instead of just yelling at each other.
Well, yeah, and she got an attitude, and then her dad doesn't want to deal with it and all that, and yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And they said
he's just exhausted.
Yes.
He's not ready. He doesn't want to deal with it anymore.
Right. And the last 2 legs, they've actually had a lot more fun, and they've done better.
Yeah.
But yes, when it comes down to it, he's older, he's a big guy, he's wearing out for sure. So I could definitely see them going out next. I could see Garrett and Joel going out next also.
Yeah.
I could definitely see it.
Yeah.
But I think those are the 2 best, most likely to go out next.
Right.
For sure. And then what about so we'll put Steve and Annalie 4th, Garrett and Joel 3rd.
Yeah.
And then who?
Robin Corey
2nd, I agree.
Yeah.
And then again, they could win. They'll need a good leg in the last leg. They need to get to the next leg and then run their best leg.
I mean, they could. I don't think they use the express pass incorrectly. I just think it's just because they all messed up. Yeah. Steve and Annalie got through the one task pretty quickly, and then they all ran past the subway and everything. Like, if they could have made it with Steve and Annalie the whole way, they would have gotten first at the end because Steve couldn't run anymore. And
they would have outrun them and got there first.
Right.
For sure. It didn't happen that way, and
it was very frustrating.
They and they said they got kind of I mean, jumping out of the plane 4th put them behind, or last put them behind.
Last, yeah.
And then they got to the pits. They got to the roadblock last. Other people already had time to work on their stuff. They used the express pass, which is great, got into the front of the pack.
Yeah.
But they didn't have that much of lead because they were last to get there.
Yeah, like the timing was definitely bad.
Yes.
Because it took forever to get from one point to another. So they had to take the boat all the way back. So, like, by the time they got there, Steve and Annalie were also coming up. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's annoying.
So, I think it's clear who the best team is, though.
I guess.
Greg and John.
Yeah.
They are. I mean, they won 4 legs.
Yeah.
And I think they may have won one before that even, but they've won the most legs. What Corey and I know Corey and Rob and I am too. Corey and Rob can get there, can just run an average leg next episode. They get to the finale, and then they have to have the rest leg of the finale.
Yeah.
And they've won. I think they've won 1 or 2 legs.
No.
No.
I don't think Rob and Corey have won any legs yet.
I thought they won 1. Maybe early. I thought they won 1 early on. Either way.
I'd have to look back on it, but I don't think they did.
Either way, They've been.
I think they were saying this would have been their first.
So they've been close a few times at the very least.
They've been close, but I don't think they did.
What they need to do though is you need to obviously get into the finale.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not be last next week, and then run the best like they have and do that.
Yeah.
And they can win it.
Yeah.
I think if you ask me who put money on, Greg and John have been so consistent, and they're good at so many things.
Well, they've been starting to mess up, so one can hope that they keep doing that. I don't hate them. I'm just very attached to Rob and Corey as a team.
Obviously, for sure.
But I said, the more we're getting into the end of the show, the more people are starting to not pay attention.
Yeah,
So
it's
they ran right past the numbers where they could have dropped first and everything.
And
so
ironically, when you don't have time, you don't have the room to make those mistakes. There's you have such a small margin for error.
Yeah.
And the teams know that,
Mm-hmm.
so they're trying to be more, trying to be faster, and they're rushing and they're making more mistakes.
Yep.
Because that's kind of it's like when when you're running, like you said, like for example, you're like an umpire,
Mm-hmm.
right, for baseball, and you're trying to run to the base of cover to make the call at the base.
Yeah.
When you're running, your head bounce up and down, you can't see as clearly. So you have to just stop running even if you're further away to make the clear call.
Mm-hmm.
Right? In this case, you're trying to go really fast to get there faster, and you miss details.
Yeah.
And I think that could be part of the problem. And you don't have time because you don't have time, but you also have to take that time to be more
Aggressive. No, I'm
specific.
kidding.
Exactly. Be aggressive. Yes. Exactly.
Exactly.
Perfect. Anything else before we? Obviously, that's it. So that's those. I think that's our power ranking for now. Anything else you want to say before we wrap up the episode here?
I don't think so.
So obviously, pretty short Amazing Race. Obviously, there's only a couple teams left. I think we only have 2 episodes. So we'll talk about the next week, who got eliminated, and then we're down to the finale. It looks like,
Yep.
and then Christmas
Yep. They need to end it sooner.
finale.
It's getting too close to my Christmas time.
I know, December episode, finale episode, Survivor finale. That's the next 3 weeks,
Yeah.
and then Christmas.
Yeah.
So.
Go good. Oh, joy.
Oh, joy to the season.
I guess.
Indeed. All right. Anything else?
No.
Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. You can like our Facebook page, facebook.com/Pavement Road Prod. That's facebook.com/Pavement Road Prod. That's Pavement Road Productions on Facebook. I got to be better updating with these, posting these things. I'll do it. I'll get on that and do it better. Posting the shows more quickly once they're done. Email the show directly, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. Subscribe right there on the YouTube channel. Share the post. Tell your friends. Anything else?
No.
Perfect. Well, I know one thing. I got nothing else for you because the tribe has spoken.
You are the weakest link. Safe travel.
Goodbye.